What's up guys, I'm Jimmy Chang. Want to see something cool? Here's my new logo. We'll talk more about that later. But right now, let's talk about this recent trip from Denver to San Diego. On this trip, we decided instead of the hassle of transporting our Onewheel, that we'd try renting instead. You can see the full video on my Onewheel XR travel options video. Well, I want to tell you about, so that's day 1, which you can see most of the footage on my previous video. This is day 2 in Orange County, California. This is my hometown, and as I'm cruising the streets, I come across this place, Baskin Robbins. And I'll tell you how this relates to the SUPrents.com service, really new service that I am excited about. I think this is a great opportunity for a lot of viewers. But basically, at Baskin Robbins, I worked here. Yes, I wore the pink shirt and the little cap. Revisiting my old job brought back a lot of memories, and here's a little clip that wasn't too far off from the type of customers we'd have.
Welcome to Baskin Robbins. Would you like to try our mango fruit blast?
No thanks. I'll have a burger, please.
Oh, we don't make that. It's ice cream. Baskin Robbins.
I'll just do like whatever's hot and fresh.
And so while I never had customers quite that dense, I did have customers that were very particular about their ice cream. They had to have their flavor every time they came. But the most common customer that we would get would be the customer that was indecisive, didn't know what they want, and rarely would they ever commit to a full-priced scoop of ice cream without having first tried it. And so they had to try a sample. And so I feel like that is what SUPrents.com, their new service, provides. It gives you an opportunity to sample the Onewheel. You can rent the Onewheel. They're going to mail it to you. Super easy. Watch my previous review video to check out how streamlined that is. But you're able to rent the Onewheel, experience it, and then if you like it, then you decide you want to buy it, then you just keep the board and you pay the difference. It's amazing. The rental credit goes towards your purchase. And so it's like demoing skis, if you've ever done that. Demoing skis is basically, if you're not quite sure the skis are for you, you can try them out, and if you like them, you buy them, and the rental credit goes towards the purchase. It's a pretty sweet service. So here we are in my middle school. This is my first math class, my first ever math class from 6th grade. Miss Kulik was the teacher, and I remember on the first day she taught us how to remember her name as a cool lick of ice cream. That always stuck with me. Then coming over here into the playground, this is where I learned how to play basketball. I remember my PE teachers, Miss Lindemann and Mr. Salmon. Mr. Salmon, I remember him trying to teach me that when I shoot a shot, I should try to bank it and put a little English on the ball. At the time, I had no idea what he was talking about, putting English on a ball. And then this over here, this is my math class, Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee was very particular about his music. Always had to listen to classical music. He loved the fact that he could draw a perfect circle on the chalkboard, and if I ever got on his nerves, he would always say, "Mr. Chang, you bother me." So that was Mr. Lee. And then this is where I had lunch, to the right, those tables there. My kids got a kick out of that, the fact that I ate lunch outside. And so one of the benefits of living in Southern California is nearly year-round great weather. So as we leave the school here, we're going to turn out, and this is basically the route that I would take when I would walk home. I love the fact that I had this Onewheel with me on this Southern California vacation. I think the Onewheel is the best way to be able to explore new or old cities. Even though my parents live here, still near where I grew up, and I visit often, almost once a year, I've never gone back to see my old neighborhood just because, why? But now with the Onewheel, I could do so. It was very liberating. So this is the area where I would take the trail to go back home. We'd walk along this trail that they've since gated off. There's no trespassing. But I was able to find another way to get in. And now they have a nicely paved trail with fences, a lot of nice trees. None of this was here before. It was basically a dirt path with a brick wall keeping us away from the houses. This brought back a lot of memories because this is the area where I would often encounter some bullies. Bullying was quite frequent, and I was not a big fan because I was always the recipient. And so when this movie came out in 1989, this hoverboard scene really struck a chord. And ever since then, I've always wished I had one of those hoverboards. I remember every day going home from school wishing I had a hoverboard, not just so I could get home quickly, but so I could get away from the bullies. When I first laid eyes on the Onewheel, I knew that this was probably the closest I would ever get to a real Back to the Future type hoverboard during my lifetime, and that I needed to have one. I'm going to do a split screen of this, my favorite scene from the movie, what inspired me at an early age to get what eventually would be called the Onewheel. I love how movies try to predict what future fashions and technology will be like. They don't get very much right. I mean, we still don't have mass-produced flying jeeps. I love the fashion statement that these bullies, these punks, have. At least they're wearing safety gear. A lot of them have body armor on, knee pads or elbow pads. I wonder if these hoverboards ever nosedive, if that was a problem back then. The one thing they did get right was the Prius. There he goes, right over a Prius. Still an ugly looking car. My apologies to anyone who drives a Prius. I think it's pretty wild that this movie inspired a love for the Onewheel, something that wasn't even an idea back then, and that 30 years later, from 1989 to we're in 2000s, to 2019, so that's 30 years later, now I have my own YouTube channel sharing my love of the Onewheel. A love that was basically inspired from this scene here in Back to the Future 2, where these bullies tried to bash in Marty McFly's head. While no bullies ever tried to bash in my head, I always wished I had a Onewheel so I could get away from them. We'll continue this scene at the end of this YouTube video, so stay tuned. I'm very grateful to SUPrents.com and their service, and having the opportunity to be able to cruise the streets that I once walked, the streets laden with bullies, and this time be able to hover around on or float around on my Onewheel. It was a ton of fun. So coming here, we're going to come to a beautiful fountain. Good memories of this fountain. I still remember first getting my driver's license, going out on a date, and I remember driving circles around this fountain until the security guard from the Richard Nixon Library that you see in the background started coming out and running towards us, and I had to zip off. There's the home where Richard Nixon was born, and so this was not too far away from where I grew up. So because of the rental boards from SUPrents.com, I was able to explore my old neighborhood, be able to visit my old schools. There's my elementary school on the right, and this would not have been possible with an XR because you just can't take those on airplanes. So I'm very grateful for SUPrents.com, and I am excited to share with you guys this try before you buy program. If you find yourself wishing that you could try a Onewheel before buying it, you're not alone. Because the Onewheel is so expensive, most people are hesitant to pay so much money on something they've never tried. A lot of people end up doing what I did, which is basically watching every single YouTube video available on the Onewheel. They try to live vicariously through these folks on the internet, and this acts as their test ride. But you don't have to do that anymore. While I still highly encourage you to continue to watch all my YouTube videos over and over and over again, there's a service now that you can use to rent a board, new or used, from SUPrents.com. Then, after the rental period, if you decide that you like the board enough to own it, then you just pay the difference. Renting from SUPrents.com is ridiculously easy, and this try before you buy program is awesome. It's a program that I highly recommend if you are in the market and you want to try out the Onewheel. So day 3 of this rental period and this vacation will come up in a future video. There's a little teaser, and I just want to close off with some artwork that Ken made for me. Ken Hendsbee, thank you very much. He made artwork for both my YouTube channel and for my website, oneradwheel.com. And let's close off on that final scene with the hoverboard. I recommend you guys go check out my full review on SUPrents.com. Try before you buy program. I think it's a great program, and for a limited time there is a coupon code where you can get a discount. So see the description below and check out my website. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.